My name is Lina. I am 38 years old. I live in a small city apartment. It is clean and white. Everything has a place. Nothing is messy. I like my home that way because it makes me feel calm. My life was simple before everything changed. I worked at a small office. I came home early. I cooked dinner. I watched TV. I lived quietly. 2 years ago, I met a man named David. He was 42. He was tall, handsome, and charming. He smiled a lot. He talked in a soft voice. He always said sweet things to me. He called me every day. He told me I was beautiful. He brought me flowers. He took me to nice restaurants. He sent long messages that made me feel special. David told me he loved me. He said I was his soul, his heart, his dream. His words were big, warm, and beautiful. I wanted to believe him. I really did. I wanted to feel safe again. A long time ago, I loved another man. That man hurt me. He left me alone. He broke my heart into pieces. It took me years to heal. Because of that, I am careful now. I try not to trust too fast. But David made me feel seen, and I wanted love. I wanted someone to stay with me. But even from the start, I saw small signs. They were quiet signs, but still signs. David loved me only when things were easy. He loved the happy parts of me, not the sad or scared parts. One day, I had to go to the hospital. I needed a checkup. I was nervous. I asked David to come with me. He said yes. He drove me there. But when we arrived, David stayed in the car. I will wait here, he said. I hate hospitals. They make me feel bad. I walked inside alone. I sat alone. I saw the doctor alone. I came out alone. David was still sitting in the car. He smiled and asked if I was okay. I said yes, but inside I felt sad. This happened many times. He was close, but not really there. When I cried or felt scared, David looked uncomfortable. He said nice words, but he did not hold me. He did not sit with me. He would always find a reason to leave. It is hard for me to see pain, he said once. I need to protect myself. And I believe him. I made excuses for him. I told myself he was sensitive. I told myself he tried his best. But deep inside, I knew I was walking alone. Then one day, everything changed. My phone rang. It was my mother, Helen. She lived in a small house in the suburbs. Her house was warm and full of love. Books, plants, photos everywhere. My mother was 68 and lived alone. Her voice on the phone was weak. Lina, she whispered, I don't feel well. Can you come? I drove fast to her house. She looked pale and tired. I called a doctor. The doctor came and checked her. He looked serious. After the tests, he told us the truth. My mother was dying. There was no cure. Maybe 6 months, maybe less. My world stopped. I could not breathe. My mother was my best friend. She raised me alone. She held me when I cried as a child. She loved me more than anyone else. She was everything to me. The doctor said she needed full-time care. She could not be alone anymore. I made a choice. I called my boss. I left my job. I packed my things. I moved into my mother's house. I called David crying. I told him everything. I told him I was scared. I told him I needed him. He said, "I am here for you. I will help you. We will get through this together." I felt hope. I thought maybe this time he would really stay. The first week was hard. The second week was worse. My mother grew weaker every day. She could not walk. She could not eat without help. She needed me for everything. I woke up every 2 hours to check on her. I did not sleep much. The house smelled like medicine. Machines made loud sounds. I felt tired all the time. My heart hurt. I needed someone. I needed a strong arm. I needed love. I called David. "Please come," I said, "just for 1 hour. Please hold my hand." David said he would come. He came the next day. He walked into the house looking nervous. When he saw my mother, his face changed. She was lying in bed, pale and thin. The machine beside her beeped loudly. David stayed at the door. He did not walk in. He looked scared. "I need to go," he said. "I can't see her like this. It hurts me too much. I want to remember her the way she was." I begged him to stay, but he walked out after only 10 minutes. I stood in the hallway feeling empty. David said he loved me, but he could not stay with me for even 1 hour. He could not face my pain. He loved me only halfway. The next week, the hospital sent a nurse. His name was Sam. He was 45. He was not tall or handsome, but he had kind eyes and a calm voice. He wore simple clothes and walked quietly. Sam came every day. He checked my mother. He changed her sheets. He helped her breathe better. He was steady and gentle. One night at 3 a.m., my mother was crying in pain. I called Sam. He came right away, even though his shift was over. He gave her medicine. He talked to her softly. Then he looked at me and said, "You need rest. Sit down. I will make you tea." I sat in the kitchen. Sam made tea and sat with me. He did not speak much, but I felt less alone. This happened again and again. Sam showed up every time. He did not promise things. He just helped. No big words, no drama, just care. David sent long, emotional messages. He said he missed me. He said he was thinking of me every second. But he stayed far away. Sam did not send messages. Sam just came. One night, I broke down in the kitchen. I cried hard. Sam sat next to me. He gave me tissues. He did not ask me to stop crying. He waited until I calmed down. Then he made more tea. "You are doing a good job," he said softly. Your mother is lucky. And slowly, something changed inside me. David talked about love. Sam showed love. And I began to understand what real love looks like. Lina stood in the living room, trying to calm herself. She kept thinking about the sound she had heard in the hallway. She told herself many times that it was nothing, maybe the wind or some old pipe making noise. But no matter how much she tried to ignore it, she still felt a strange fear inside her. After cleaning the kitchen, she locked the main door and checked the windows. Everything looked normal. She took her phone and went to her bedroom. She decided to watch some videos so her mind would stop thinking about scary things. But even while watching videos, she felt like someone was watching her. She kept turning her head toward the door, but nothing was there. After some time, she became sleepy and decided to go to bed. She turned off the lights and lay down. The room was quiet, and only the sound of the fan was moving the air. Just when she started to fall asleep, she heard a soft tapping sound on her bedroom wall. Tap, tap, tap. Lina's eyes opened wide. She held her breath and listened again. Tap, tap, tap. It was slow, like someone gently knocking. She sat up quickly and looked around. "Who is there?" she whispered in fear. No one answered. She slowly got out of bed and moved toward the wall. She put her ear against it. The sound stopped. Lina stepped back. The room felt colder than before. She hugged her arms and tried to convince herself again that maybe the building was making old noises. She returned to bed and covered herself with her blanket. But the silence didn't last long. Suddenly, she heard faint footsteps outside her bedroom door. Slow, heavy, one step at a time. Lina froze. She knew she was alone in the apartment. Emily was not home. No one else had the keys. The footsteps stopped right outside her door. Lina's heart beat faster and faster. She stared at the door, waiting for something to happen. For a few minutes, nothing moved. Then she saw something that made her breath stop. The doorknob slowly began to turn, very slowly. Lina gasped and covered her mouth with both hands. The knob turned halfway and then stopped. Someone was trying to come inside. Lina didn't know what to do. She wanted to scream, but her voice didn't come out. After a few seconds, the doorknob turned back to its original position. Then everything became quiet again, completely quiet. Lina sat on her bed, shaking. She couldn't stay in her room anymore. She slowly walked toward the door, trying to be brave. Her hands were trembling as she touched the doorknob. She opened the door slowly and looked into the hallway. The hallway was empty, dark, and silent. No one was there. The air felt heavy and a strange smell filled the hallway like something old and dusty. Lina stepped out of the room and looked toward the living room. The lights were off. She swallowed hard and turned the hallway light on. The moment she did, she noticed something on the floor, something she was sure wasn't there before. A small, old-style key. It looked rusty and ancient, as if it didn't belong to the apartment at all. Lina bent down and picked it up. The metal felt cold, almost freezing. She stared at the key, confused and scared. "Where did this come from?" she whispered. Suddenly, she heard a whisper, very soft, very close. "Lina." Her heart dropped. She turned around fast, but no one was standing behind her. The hallway was completely empty. She stepped back and nearly dropped the key. She walked quickly toward the living room, switched on the light, and looked around. Everything looked the same as before. Nothing had moved. Nothing looked strange. But the whisper, it sounded so real. She walked to the main door and checked the lock again. It was still locked. Then she checked all the windows. Everything was closed tightly. She sat on the sofa, holding the key in her hand. The apartment felt colder and more frightening. She didn't know if she should stay awake or try to sleep. But one thing she knew for sure, this apartment was not normal. Something else was here, something she couldn't see. Something that knew her name, and the key in her hand felt like a warning or an invitation. Lina sat on the sofa for a long time, holding the old key tightly. Her hands were cold, and her thoughts were full of fear. She kept staring at the key, wondering why it appeared in her hallway. She had never seen it before. She didn't know anyone who used such an old-style key. And the whisper that had called her name kept repeating in her mind. After a few minutes, she stood up slowly. She knew she couldn't sit here all night, scared and confused. She needed to understand what was happening. She took a deep breath and walked toward the hallway again. The air felt heavy, and the smell of dust still lingered. She looked around very carefully, trying to see if something on the walls or the floor had changed. Then her eye stopped at a small wooden panel near the end of the hallway. It was the same color as the wall, so she had never paid attention to it before. But now something about it felt strange. She walked closer and touched the wooden panel. It felt loose, as if someone had recently moved it. She pulled it gently, and the panel slid out with a soft sound. Behind it, she found a small, hidden keyhole. Her heart jumped. The shape of the keyhole perfectly matched the old key in her hand. Lina stared at it for a moment. She didn't want to open it. She didn't want to know what was behind the wall, but at the same time, something inside her told her that she needed to do it. She slowly lifted the key and pushed it into the keyhole. The metal slid in perfectly, as if it had always belonged there. With a deep breath, she turned the key. Click. The sound echoed through the hallway. The wall moved a little. She stepped back, shocked. A narrow door appeared, opening slowly, revealing a dark, hidden room inside the wall. Cold air rushed out, touching her face like icy fingers. Lina's breath became shaky. She held her phone tightly and turned on the flashlight. The beam of light entered the small room. The walls were old and cracked. Dust floated in the air. In the center of the room, there was a small wooden chair facing the wall. On the wall above the chair, there were strange drawings made with something dark. Lines, circles, and symbols she couldn't understand. And under the drawings were names, many names, dozens of them, written one under another. Some names were faded, some looked new. Lina moved closer, her legs shaking. She read the names slowly. Harris, Mina, Jonah, Sarah. Some names were crossed out with dark lines. But beside the chair, she saw something that made her body freeze. A new name, recently written. Lina. Her heart dropped. She stepped back quickly, her breath became fast and loud. No, 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 she whispered. Why was her name here? Who wrote it? When did they write it? Suddenly, she heard a soft sound from behind her. Someone breathing, very close, very slow. She turned around fast, shining her phone's light everywhere. No one was there. But the breathing continued. It felt like it was coming from the corner of the hidden room. She didn't want to look, but her fear forced her. She pointed her flashlight toward the corner. At first, she saw nothing, just darkness. But then she noticed a shape, a tall, thin shadow standing perfectly still. Its face was turned toward her. Its eyes were not human. They looked empty and deep, like dark holes. Lina screamed and ran out of the room. The hidden door slammed shut behind her without her touching it. She fell onto the floor, shaking and crying. The hallway lights flickered again and again. She crawled backward, trying to get away from the hidden door. The whisper returned, but this time it was louder, closer. Lina! She covered her ears and sobbed. She wanted Emily to come home. She wanted to leave the apartment, but she couldn't move. She felt trapped. Then something unexpected happened. The key she had dropped on the floor slid by itself across the tiles, moving slowly toward the hidden door, as if pulled by an invisible hand. Lina watched in horror as the key reached the door and disappeared under it. The lights went off completely. Darkness covered everything, and in that darkness, she heard the sound of footsteps coming toward her. Slow, heavy, getting closer and closer. The shadow from the hidden room was now inside the hallway, and it was coming for her. Lina was sitting on the floor, shaking badly. The hallway was completely dark, and the slow, heavy footsteps were coming closer and closer. Her heart felt like it would stop. She tried to stand up, but her legs felt weak, almost frozen. Then she suddenly remembered her phone was still in her hand. She quickly turned on the flashlight. A bright beam of white light spread across the hallway. The footsteps stopped. But in the corner of the hallway, the shadow stood there, tall, thin, silent. Its eyes looked like deep black holes, staring straight at her. Lina took a step back. "Stay away from me," she shouted. Even though her voice was shaking, the shadow did not move. It just stood there like it was waiting. Lina slowly stepped backward toward the living room. Every step she took, the shadow took one slow step forward. She felt tears in her eyes. She didn't want to die. She didn't want to disappear like the other names on that wall. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the apartment door. Bang, bang, bang. Lina jumped. The shadow stopped moving. Someone outside shouted, "Lina, open the door. It's me, Emily." Emily had come home. Lina ran toward the door as fast as she could, but the shadow moved quickly too, trying to reach her before she could escape. Lina unlocked the door and pulled it open. Emily rushed inside and grabbed her. "Lina, what happened? Why are you crying?" Before Lina could answer, Emily noticed the shadow in the hallway. But something strange happened. When the bright light from the building hallway fell inside the apartment, the shadow stepped back. It began to fade, slowly, slowly, like smoke in sunlight. Lina and Emily watched as the shadow disappeared completely. The room became quiet. The heavy air lifted. The cold feeling went away. Lina fell into Emily's arms and cried loudly. Emily hugged her tightly. "It's over. You're safe now." The two of them stayed like that for a long time. After Lina calmed down, she told Emily everything. The sounds, the strange key, the hidden room, the drawings on the wall, and the shadow. Emily listened carefully. Then she stood up and said, "We're not staying here another minute." They packed their bags, grabbed important things, and left the apartment together. As they were leaving, Lina looked back one last time. The hidden door in the hallway was now sealed shut, like it never existed. The old key was gone. The strange air was gone. Everything looked normal, but Lina knew the truth. This place had a dark secret, and she was lucky to escape. When they reached the outside street, the morning sun was rising. Warm, golden light covered everything. Lina felt peaceful for the first time in days. She breathed deeply and smiled a little. "Emily," she said softly, "thank you. If you didn't come, I don't know what would have happened." Emily held her hand and said, "You're not alone. I'll always be there for you." Lina looked up at the bright sky. The sunlight felt warm and safe, and in that moment, she understood something important. Light will always defeat darkness. And no matter how scary the night becomes, morning will always come. The end. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more emotional stories.